Okay, so I would like to formally welcome you all to, I believe, our fourth session in the virtual job fair for partners series that we've been holding monthly. As you'll see up on the screen, we do have quite a few updates that have been rolled out since our last meeting, I believe, January 8th. So what I'm going to do is just briefly go over these, and then I will also demo them for you on the actual workNet website. What we'll do after that is just move to some, Q&A if you guys have any questions regarding the updates or anything else, regarding the virtual job fair. And then I will just update you all on some of the events that we have going on for the remainder of this month. So as you'll see here up on the screen, first update that was rolled out is an update to the event calendar. As you'll see there, rather than the 3 dots or the ellipsis that we used to have there, we've updated that to show more, indicating that there are more events taking place in the same day. And I just do want to note that that is triggered when there are more than 2 events. So when there's 3 or more events, you'll see that up on the screen. So give me one moment here and I will show you what that looks like. So as you see here up on the screen, 2 events show, click that More tab, and it'll bring up all of the events that we have going on for that day. The next update that we have here, you'll see on the screen, is a daily email to partner staff. And that now includes a section for upcoming VJFs in whatever your respective LWIA is. That should have already been rolled out, and you should be receiving that on a daily basis. If you're not, please reach out to either David or myself, and we can look into the problem, make sure that it's getting sent to you. Again, we just want to be sure that we're kind of removing those barriers or obstacles to being more involved in that VJF process, if you will. So again, anytime an event is added to the event calendar that's in your respective LWIA, you should be getting a notification. The next update that we have listed on the screen, you'll see, is employer entry form updated text. We've changed that from hiring locations are statewide to remote working opportunities are available. If you give me one moment here, I will also show you what that looks like as well. So if you go down here to set up the virtual job fair, theoretically an employer rep would go to add a booth. They would click this, and you'll see here highlighted there is where that update has taken place. Remote working opportunities are available rather than positions are available statewide. Next update that you'll see here is kind of a large one, and this was rolled out, I believe, just last week. The VJF management button has been added to the dashboard under the actions column. And again, I'll walk you through this and what this looks like. Again, there's now a green icon that will allow you to manage an employer booth's virtual job fair events. You can add your own single employer event or request an assistance in hosting a single employer event. And as you'll see there, previously it was accessible through the details page of the employer booth. So if you give me one moment here, I will show you what that looks like as well. So if you have a virtual job fair employer booth that you're managing, of course, if you're already familiar with this, you'll go to this My Dashboard drop-down menu. You'll click that. You'll go down to that virtual job fair icon tab. You'll click that. And you'll see here, this green icon that I just referenced has been added. So before, if you're familiar again with this process, it was just these 2 booth icons here. The reason we did that is, again, to kind of streamline and simplify the process of adding a virtual job fair. We did get some feedback, if you will, on that process, and that folks had difficulty kind of locating that feature. So we wanted to put it right there. This is the first thing that you see when you click on that virtual job fair icon if you do have an active employer booth that you're currently managing. And so I'll go ahead, click on one of those so you see what it looks like. So you'll see here, very simply, when you click on that, you can click that Add Virtual Job Fair tab. And as you guys are probably already familiar with, You have the two options there. You can either add your own virtual job fair or you can request assistance hosting a virtual job fair. It's the same exact platform or format that we were using before. It's just in a different location for ease of access purposes. And you'll see here, if you do add a virtual job fair event, it will be added to this location here. You'll also have an opportunity to add a URL to the recording of the session here. Now you'll see here, not applicable for this employer. And I specifically picked this employer booth for a purpose. This employer opted to not have the recordings uploaded onto their booth for public consumption due to employer concerns due to competition, informational access, what have you. But in the event that they did want a URL archived there, this is the location in which it would be. In order to do so, you click this edit logo here. And then here you would just put the URL for the recorded session. You'd click add, and then it would be added to that location and then onto the employer booth as well. Moving on here, our next update, you'll see on the VJF entry edit form, it has been updated to include supplemental links and documents that can be added to the public-facing employer booth page. So again, I will kind of demo what that looks like for you as well. So you'll see here again, we're all laboring under the assumption here that you have an employer booth that you are currently managing. The difference is you'll see on this blue icon that I just clicked here, you'll see a section where you can upload documents and add links. You may be familiar with that already. This was previously located on the booth details page. We added that to this just for, again, ease of access to simplify the process of editing any information that's on the employer booth. The fact that it was in that other location tended to confuse some users, so we wanted to put it all again in one comprehensive location where all the information that is on that public-facing employer booth can be accessed and updated, again, in a simpler fashion. So I will show you the page that it used to be located on, just for your reference. So those two sections where you can upload the document or any other additional links used to be located on this page. And it simply, again, it was just moved over to the edit details page. Next update that we have here, you'll see, is that upcoming virtual job fair events will now automatically be moved to the archive section of an employer booth page after the date for that virtual job fair has elapsed. To kind of give you a little bit more explanation or background on that, before either myself or David had to manually archive a booth after the event had passed. Now it's just been automated. So again, trying to make a lot of these things a little bit simpler for all those who are involved. You'll see under that, the next update that we rolled out. And again, it has to kind of do with that same point that I just referenced there. Upcoming and archive VJF sections will now just include the date of virtual job fair events rather than the employer's name and the date. Additionally, in the archive VJF section, there's an informational bubble that will explain that the recording, if available, has not yet been added, excuse me, and I will demo that for you as well. So again, if we use this Amazon Waukegan virtual job booth as an example here, we'll scroll down and you'll see they do have an upcoming VJF there. Rather than this whole thing being highlighted, it's just the date. And then you'll see here, this is where that archive VJF videos would be placed. And again, you'll see that icon that with that informational bubble, and you'll see there, the archive VJF recording has not yet been uploaded. So that is the feature that we were referencing right there, just for your information. And then last but not least, you'll see our next update was improved responsiveness of the VJF dashboard for mobile devices. Again, just trying to streamline things, make them easier, simpler to access. Again, and we just do want to make sure, if there are folks that are accessing the tool via mobile device, again, that process is as streamless and as painless as possible, just like it would be if you were navigating the tool on the desktop. So those are all the updates that we have rolled out thus far. I know we do have more in the pipeline, so do stay tuned. At this point, I would like to kind of allow you an opportunity to ask any questions on the updates or just the virtual job fair in general, anything that you'd like to bring up. Another thing that I'd also like you all to have an opportunity to do is perhaps throw out some topics that you would like covered in future sessions. I know we've done that before. We've gone over the process of setting up a multi-employer virtual job fair, the process of coordination between workNet and partner agencies, LWIA, so on and so forth. So now would be a prime opportunity. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them now. You can either unmute yourself or ask them in the chat, whichever you prefer.
Hey, Daniel, it's Ivan. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm good. Thank you. Real quick question.
Yeah.
As you know, we're working on a fair that's coming up, and my question is, and I haven't seen all of the workshops leading up to this one, but for the once an employer is targeted and recruited for an event, then the organization that you're working with oversees the management of that employer developing their booth. Is that correct?
Typically speaking, Yvonne, that is correct. I just do want to highlight, and I know I've brought this up in other sessions before, we do highly stress and emphasize that the employer themselves create the booth. But yes, ideally, whoever the agency partners are that are kind of putting together the event, they would kind of oversee that process of getting those employer booths set up. And if you do want me to go through that process again, I can do so real briefly. Shouldn't take too long. If you'd like me to, just let me know, Yvonne.
I'm absolutely a visual person, so if you could, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me one moment here. So some of you may be familiar with this process already, but again, it never hurts to just drive that point home. So as an employer, you come on to Illinois WorkNet, you are told, hey, you're going to be included in an upcoming multi-employer virtual job fair event. You need to create an employer booth in order to, again, be able to actively participate. You're going to be directed to the Illinois WorkNet homepage. One thing I'll have to do here is sign out. Again, we are operating or laboring under the assumption that individuals do not yet have a WorkNet account. My apologies here, having a difficulty logging out. Okay, so an individual comes on to WorkNet wanting to create an employer booth. They're first going to need to create an Illinois WorkNet user account. So in order to do that, there's multiple ways to get there, but since it's kind of being a little stingy here, I'm going to show you this way. So you'll see here, the Create Account tab. So once an employer clicks that, they're going to want to fill in all of these required fields here that you see. They're going to want to read those terms and conditions, obviously check the accept agreement box. They're going to click submit. At that point, they're going to then have an active Illinois WorkNet user account. And as I've stated before, the key here is that they need to not only have the account created, but they need to be logged in order to create that employer booth. I know that seems, rather obvious, but we've had a lot of folks who, create the account, they're not logged in, and then they come back to us and they're like, we're unable to create the employer booth. So again, the key is they need to create the account, be logged into it. Wonderful. The next step that they're going to want to do is go to this Setup Virtual Job Fair tab, again, under this Virtual Job Fair section on the homepage. You want to click that. You'll see the Add Booth tab there. They'll want to click that. And they're going to want to fill in all of these required fields that you see here. And then once they have completed that, they're going to click that Save and Submit Employer Booth tab. What's going to happen then is that we'll get a notification on our end that a new employer booth has been added. Either David or myself will review that employer booth, assuming all the links are operational and all the information is accurate. We will go ahead and approve the employer booth, and at that point, it will be publicly discoverable. And that is it as far as the employer booth creation process is concerned. It is literally that simple and straightforward. It's those two steps right there.
Perfect. I love that. All right, great. That gives me clarity. One more question for you. Let's say we're inviting an employer partner, but they already have a booth set up. Do they need to refresh that, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question as well, Yvonne. Yeah, so if they do already have an employer booth, that obviously will help expedite the planning process, if you will. And we have had events where we've picked employers exclusively who have already had employer booths already created, just to make that process a bit simpler. To answer your question, yes, if the information is not up to date, or any links have been changed, or any updates to open or available positions have changed, we're going to want to make sure that that employer gets into their booth and they update that information so that job seekers for that upcoming event have the most current and up-to-date information, at their disposal.
Yes. Perfect. One last question.
Yes.
The partner organization, is this the only responsibility they have, is managing the booth to ensure that the booth is created?
Yeah, so you're saying just kind of the larger overarching responsibilities when undertaking a multi-employer event, is that correct, Yvonne?
It is, Daniel.
Yeah, so that definitely is one large part of it. Not to get too far into the weeds here, because I know you're somewhat familiar with the process now. There's a lot of working parts to that. If you would like, I can go ahead and pull up that multi-employer kind of timeline doc and go over what an agency, is required to do. I can give kind of an abbreviated version without pulling up that document if you would like. Generally speaking, think of Illinois WorkNet as a facilitator for the event at large, if that makes sense. So we provide the, business level Zoom account, which allows for an add-on for up to 1,000 folks to attend an event. We provide technical support on the day of the event. We'll host the event. We'll make sure audio, video is working. If any interruptions or anything like that take place, we'll make sure that, that gets rectified. If you do decide you want to hold a breakout room session, we'll oversee that as well. But we do kind of stress that agency partners who do want to undertake a multi-employer event, they kind of take the role as a primary driver for things like marketing and promotion. Obviously, recruitment of employers who will be taking part in the event. Also staffing the event as well. If you're going to hold like a breakout room session event, we also need to make sure that we have a minimum of one staff person per room that will be available to help assist. Because again, I referenced our team, we're small but mighty, but again, there's only two of us. We can only be in so many places at one time, especially on those breakout room sessions. So those are kind of the key things to keep in consideration if you're wanting to schedule a multi-employer event or take part in it. And again, any of the folks who are on the call that want to conduct or hold a multi-employer event, David or myself are more than willing or happy to meet with you and go through the more granular level of the process as well.
Yes.
Hopefully that answered your question, Yvonne.
Daniel, I want to say you're like 100 for 100 in all my questions. I really appreciate that. Also, now it gives me a lot of clarity. I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm excited and scared at the same time because this is new to me. But all these little tidbits, all these little, best practices are definitely very helpful. So I appreciate all the feedback and all the support.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Lachey. I have a quick question. Actually, I have like 3 questions.
No worries. No worries.
The first one is this for WIOA clients only, or could it be like for other people on my caseload that are not WIOA?
I am going to defer to David on that question.
Yeah, so really this is for employers who are hiring for, paid positions. I think that's kind of like the easiest way to look at it, employment opportunities. We do have, some guidelines in place that if there, is a staffing agency or, kind of other organization, the employers who are eligible for this virtual job fair, they cannot charge, any job candidates, any fees prior to, employment. Actually, in general, I should say.
So if we were to go in and open up a booth, now would that allow for like new like prospective clients to kind of seek us out, or is that another type of deal?
I guess I'm not sure on if you could kind of clarify on, clients reaching out. I mean, it is, if there's, employment opportunities, they can be added to the virtual job fair.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there an email to somewhere I can get like a one-on-one training with?
Yeah. I can share that in the chat.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Fantastic. Any other questions that any of the folks on the call have regarding any of the updates, or just general questions that you have regarding VJF? Okay, fantastic. Well, if anything else comes up in the meantime, please feel free to enter those into the chat and we will get those answered for you. And again, as I stated before, if you do want kind of a one-on-one walkthrough or training session, as one of the partners requested here, David and I are more than happy to facilitate and willing to do so. So just feel free to reach out. It looks like David has put our email addresses in the chat as well. So again, if anything comes up as far as a question, any training you'd like to go through, please just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll get something on the schedule as soon as possible. Again, I kind of want to ask the folks who are on the call, are there any other topics that you would like us to cover, perhaps in some upcoming sessions? Would you like us to walk through that multi-employer process again? Is there anything that you would like to see demoed in depth? Any thoughts there? We just want to open that up and make sure that, again, we give you all an opportunity to ask the questions you'd like answered.
Hey, Daniel, Ivan again.
Hi, Ivan.
So you probably already have this on the website,
Mhm.
but for the multi employer events, do you have the step-by-step on the website, or is this just something you can share with myself or the group?
That's actually a great question, Yvonne. And what I will do, I'm not sure if you've been on previous calls, but I'll go ahead and show you where all that information is located.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. So where you're going to want to go, assuming you come onto the Illinois WorkNet homepage here, the easiest place that I always tell folks to access this is to scroll down to the footer. You'll see this Partner Resources tab. Click on that. You scroll down. You'll see this virtual job fair guide here. You'll click on that and you'll see all of the respective resources that we have in relation to virtual job fair will be listed at this location here. You'll see partner guidance, partner training materials and videos, full list of resources, and partner tool updates. What you're going to want to focus in on, Yvonne, will be this full list of resources here. You'll click on that and you'll see all of the documents that we do have, again, in regards to guidance, instructions, and VJF planning.
Okay, so basically the VJT laid out like this.
Correct. So you'll see here, right there is that checklist timeline.
Yes.
And you'll see right there, we clearly say, please allow 4 weeks notice.
Yes.
You were to click on that. And this came up in my second screen, but if you give me a moment here, you'll see, and some of you should already be familiar with this timeline that I've met with before, but you'll see that timeline right there, step by step, walking you through the process of what benchmarks we should be hitting in relation to where we're at as far as how many weeks out we are.
Perfect. Absolutely. This works, and it is working. So thank you for this guide.
Absolutely. And you'll see here, Yvonne, we have a lot of other materials as well that can help in that multi-employer planning process here under this multi-employer VJF planning section that you see here.
Yes, absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing this.
Absolutely. And Yvonne, just for your own information, this template to collect employer information will be something that you'll want to kind of hone in on as we move forward. And again, once you get businesses confirmed with your event, you'll just want to make sure that their names get listed, and you'll see all these respective fields that are up here. We get those filled out as best as possible. Again, it's just intended to kind of be a single repository, if you will, for all the information for the businesses that we have who will be participating in a single location that can be shared amongst all the partners who will be participating in the event.
And I'm assuming this information is pulled from the booth to add to the sheet?
It is not pulled from the booth currently. We'll have to manually input that. I don't know if David can speak to that, if that's something we could do at a future date, but it is not currently populated automatically from the employer booth info that we have.
But I can go to the booth to take the information off of there to put it on the spreadsheet. Is that?
That is correct.
Gotcha.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Daniel, this is Cindy. I see that you have outreach listed there. That was what I was going to ask about, is assistance or guidance on being able to create some flyers, or especially to do social media posts on our own web and other personal Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., be able to help promote the job fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that to my attention as well, Cindy. Yeah, so we know for a lot of the partners who are on the call, this entire process, navigating the virtual hiring space, is definitely new to a lot of folks. We do know as well, that a lot of agencies don't have a dedicated or committed staff person that does, social media, marketing, promotion. So we do, just want to highlight, we do offer a lot of different templates, resources, things like that can assist you in those efforts. So you'll see here, kind of that first tab here is that custom VJF flyer. I'll pull that up. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll share this with either an employer or agencies who are wanting to hold an event. Again, this is just kind of a standardized template, if you will. Information can be input here at your own, at your own discretion. How you want it placed, is completely up to you. You can enter your LWIA logo, as you see there, the registration link, contact information, so on and so forth. And I know you see the Latin there up on the screen. Again, don't be alarmed by that. You would just input any of the information that is going to be applicable to your particular event there in that section. Again, section for your LWIA logo, address, city, state, zip, company number, email, so on and so forth. So we do offer this just kind of as a standard template for flyers that can be, disseminated to job seekers, partnering agencies, anybody who might be interested in participating in an event.
Oh, Daniel, question.
Yeah.
So then the outreach flyer to recruit employers could be one of these customized flyers.
That is correct, Yvonne. Yep. We do offer that as a resource for agency partners or employers who may not have an in-house marketing team, or perhaps they have folks that just do it as, a job duty, so to speak, but they don't have committed marketing teams that can actually put together a flyer from scratch.
I'm having so many epiphanies. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate that.
So another thing that I kind of wanted to focus your attention on, kind of more in line, I think, with what Cindy was bringing up regarding promotion and marketing, especially on social media. You'll see here this VJF social media plan template. And you'll see here, we have stock images that you can use, for your posts. We have, as you can see here, kind of boilerplate or standardized language that you can use to craft or create posts here. All you do is literally input the information that you see here. So what city it's taking place in, who the employer is, date, time, number of job openings, Eventbrite link, so on and so forth. Now, I will say we do do a lot of this promotion on our end as well. But again, if you are kind of at a loss with, how to begin or go about creating social media posts or putting together content, again, this is a great resource for you to use. And you can adjust this as necessary. You can add language, omit language, anything like that. Again, this is just intended to be a starting point or a resource or just a general guide for you to use when crafting social media posts. And you see here, we even have it broken down by days leading up to the event. So you'll see here, this group is intended for 3 to 7 days prior, 1 to 2 days prior, and then post for the day of, you'll see there as well. So again, just a great resource if you are new to social media and needing a spot or a place or a reference point to begin.
Awesome. Thank you, Danny.
Absolutely. Any other questions for the folks who are on the call? Okay, fantastic. Well, again, David put our contact info in the chat. If anything does come up after the session, please feel free to reach out to us. And of course, we'll get your question answered as soon as possible. You'll see up on the screen some of the upcoming events that we have for the remainder of February. This is not exclusive. We do have some more coming through the pipeline. These are just the ones that we do currently have on the calendar, as you'll see there. And those are single employer events as well. So those will last approximately 30 minutes or thereabouts. They won't be those larger multi-employer sessions. But again, if you want to sit in on any of those, you are more than welcome to do so, just to see what the process looks like, familiarize yourself with it. And then if you do want to hold an event at a later date, or you want to recruit employers at a later date to hold a VJF event, then you kind of just have a general idea as to what will be expected, how the flow of events will work, so on and so forth. And with that, if we don't have any additional questions, I believe we can go ahead and kind of wrap up the session. Thank you all for joining us today. David, I don't know, will we be meeting next month at the regular time, I'm assuming? I know we had to adjust because of the Senators event.
Yeah, so next month we will be, I think we typically aim for the first Friday of each
Correct.
month, but I know with some people being off tomorrow and Monday, we reschedule it here. But yeah, the next meeting will be on March 5th, the first Friday. And that link I shared in the chat, that partner guide for the virtual job fair that Daniel had up on his screen, on that landing page below those icons is a list of the upcoming events and the dates and the times for those, so you can plan accordingly.
Awesome. Thank you for that, David. Thank you all to the folks who attended today. We hope that this was informative. We hope that this was insightful. And of course, if you have any additional questions, just feel free to reach out to us at any time. And, again, we're more than happy to answer any of the questions that you have. We hope you have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Thank you all.